Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Coral Castle Magnetic Levitation System. If you're ever in Florida, you can visit this place called Coral Castle. It was built by one guy, this tiny Latvian immigrant named Edward Leedskaunen, between 1923 and 1951. Now, when I say built, I mean he single-handedly quarried, carved, and moved massive coral blocks, some weighing up to 30 tons. That's like 5 T-Rexes. And he did it alone. He built this whole thing as, well, basically a giant, weird love letter to a girl who left him. But how? We're talking about a 9-ton gate that moved with the push of a finger. Witnesses at the time reported seeing Ed move the stones as if they were balloons. He'd just sing to them or wave his hands and they'd float. He claimed he'd figured out the secrets of the pyramids, some kind of magnetic levitation or anti-gravity. He was a super private guy. But the second he died in 1951, government investigators were all over his workshop. They sealed it off, confiscated all his equipment, and took all his research notes. We still have no idea how he did it. He was history's most overachieving handyman, and his secrets got snapped up before his body was even cold. Number 9. The Schauberger Implosion Engine. You ever look at your car and think, this thing is just an angry metal box that yells at the ground to make me move? Most of our engines work on explosion, tiny controlled bombs pushing pistons. But in the 1940s, an Austrian dude named Victor Schauberger looked at a river whirlpool and thought, hey, what if we did the opposite? He developed what he called implosion engines. Instead of a violent bang, his repulsine engine used inward spiraling vortices. Think of a tornado in a can to generate power. And this thing was wild. It was apparently hyper efficient, produced 0 harmful emissions, and get this, it supposedly purified the air and water around it as it ran. It wasn't just an engine, it was a mobile spa day for the planet. The German military, of course, got very interested in this for their advanced aircraft during World War II. But after the war, Victor was debriefed by American forces. They captured him, seized all his research, and basically forced him to sign over his inventions to some American corporations. He died just days later. So, where's our magic, air-cleaning vortex engine? Probably sitting in the same warehouse as the Ark of the Covenant. Number 8. The Searl effect generator. Okay, so in the 1960s, a British guy named John Searl decides to build a new kind of electrical generator. This thing, the Searl effect generator, or SEG, was basically a series of magnetic rings, and it broke physics. This generator apparently produced unlimited free electrical power without any input. It just ran. He powered his entire building with it, but that's not even the weird part. As a little side effect, the SEG also demonstrated anti-gravity. Yeah, these things would levitate. They'd just float up, sometimes accelerating so fast they'd punch a hole through the roof and fly off into space. Imagine your power strip just deciding it's done with you and ascending to the heavens. So, what happens when you invent free energy and a flying machine? Well, in 1968, the British authorities raided his lab, they confiscated and destroyed all his equipment. And what did they arrest him for? Not for breaking the laws of thermodynamics, but for violating electrical code. That's like arresting Tony Stark for jaywalking while he's in the Iron Man suit. It's suspicious. His life's work, gone eliminated. You gotta wonder who didn't want their energy bill to disappear. Number 7. The Philadelphia Experiment Teleportation Device. Kicking us off, we're going all the way back to 1943. The US Navy is in the middle of World War II, and they're trying to figure out how to make their ships invisible to enemy radar. You know, standard military stuff. So they rig up the USS Eldridge with these massive electromagnetic generators and flip the switch. The goal was to bend light, make it cloaked, but they might have overshot the runway by like a few hundred miles. According to the legend, the ship didn't just become invisible, it straight up teleported. 1 second it was in Philadelphia, the next, poof, it's in Norfolk, Virginia, and then blip, back again. Sounds cool, right? Like you just found the ultimate cheat code. Well, here's the creepy part. The crew, they were not okay. We're talking severe psychological damage. sailors getting permanently fused into the steel bulkheads of the ship, and some just becoming invisible permanently. You can imagine the Navy's reaction. This wasn't a tactical advantage, it was a horror movie. They supposedly classified every single record, denied the experiment ever happened, and threatened every witness into silence. I mean, you can't exactly build a transportation industry on a device that has a 50-50 shot of turning you into a wall. Number 6. The Reich Orgone Accumulator. This one gets weird, like cosmic weird. In the 1940s, a scientist named Wilhelm Reich claimed he discovered a universal life force energy. He called it Orgone. Think of it like the Force from Star Wars, or mana from a video game. It's the blue, glowing energy of life itself, and Reich was convinced he could bottle it. He built these things called Orgone accumulators, which were basically layered boxes of wood and metal that he claimed could concentrate this energy. He said sitting in one could treat diseases, accelerate healing, and just, fix your vibes. He also built cloudbusters, which were basically orgone-powered rain dancers. The FDA, which famously has zero chill, was not having any of this. They investigated him, claiming Orgone was total fraud. But they didn't just fine him. In 1956, federal agents raided his lab, destroyed his research, burned his publications, book burning, and threw Reich in prison for contempt of court. He died in that prison. Now, was he a nutjob? Maybe. But that's a wildly aggressive reaction to a guy building weird meditation boxes, don't you think? Number 5. The Hutchison effect apparatus. Imagine this. It's 1979. You're in your apartment, just tinkering. You've got a bunch of old electromagnetic generators and high voltage gear just on. And suddenly, the spoon in your coffee cup floats. Then it fuses, cold, with a fork. Then a piece of wood levitates and a chunk of aluminum turns into a different metal. You just broke physics. That's basically what inventor John Hutchison claimed he discovered. By combining all these different electromagnetic fields, he created zones where the normal laws of physics just took a vacation. This wasn't just a party trick. Military officials saw it. They confirmed the effects. We're talking levitation, weird fusion of dissimilar materials, and even transmutation of elements. This thing was a sci-fi movie prop come to life. For 11 years, he demonstrated it. Then, in 1990, the Canadian authorities showed up, declared it a national security issue, and confiscated everything, all his equipment, all his research. Because if you can bend reality, you better believe the government wants to be the only one who knows how. Number 4. The Keely motor mystery. Let's rewind to 1872. The world is obsessed with steam power, and this guy, John Worrell Keely, steps up and says, steam, that's basic. I'm gonna power a motor with music. Okay, not exactly music, but sympathetic vibration. He claimed he could use sound waves and harmonic frequencies, like plucking a guitar string, to generate thousands of horsepower and power-heavy machinery, with no fuel. His demonstrations were legendary. He'd pluck a harmonica and a 25-ton engine would supposedly spring to life. Investors poured money in until they realized what he was actually promising. If this etheric force motor worked, it wouldn't just be a new engine. It would make every single railroad, every factory, every steamship on Earth instantly obsolete. Suddenly his funding dried up. After he died, the very same investors who'd abandoned him funded an investigation, and shocker, they claimed they found evidence of fraud, hidden tubes, compressed air, but modern analysis of his actual principles suggests he might have been onto something real, like zero-point energy or acoustic resonance. Was he a con artist, or did his invention just threaten to bankrupt the entire industrial world? Number 3. The Brown anti-gravity device. Long before Roswell, before UFO was even a term, there was Thomas Townsend Brown. In 1928, this physicist discovered that if you hit capacitors with a ton of electricity, they experience a force. They push, not against air, but against something. It's called the Biefeld-Brown effect. It was, for all intents and purposes, anti-gravity. By 1952, he wasn't just pushing capacitors, he was flying disc-shaped craft around his lab. These things moved at high speed using only electrical energy. Now, it's the 1950s. Flying discs. What do you think happens next? The military's eyes got real big. They recruited him immediately for classified projects. By 1955, he reportedly had devices that could achieve sustained flight. And then, in 1956, silence. The research was suddenly classified at the highest level, his patents were seized. All documentation was pulled from public access. If you're wondering where all those 1950s flying saucer sightings came from, maybe it wasn't little green men. Maybe it was just T. Townsend Brown's invention going for a joyride. Number 2, the Rife cancer cure machine. This one isn't just about free energy or cool flying cars. This one gets dark. In the 1930s, Dr. Royal Rife was, by all accounts, a certified genius. He built something called the universal microscope, which was so powerful it could do something no other scope could, observe living viruses and bacteria. And while watching them, he discovered something insane. He found that every pathogen had a unique electromagnetic frequency, a vibration, and he learned that if he broadcast that exact same frequency back at it, the virus would shatter, like a wine glass breaking from an opera note. He called this the mortal oscillatory rate. He tried it on cancer cells. It worked. In 1934, he ran a clinical trial on 16 terminal cancer patients. After 90 days, the reported cure rate was 100%. This should have been the single greatest medical breakthrough in human history, but it wasn't. Before the results could be published, the director of the trial died mysteriously. The documentation vanished. The American Medical Association, led by a guy named Morris Fishburne, aggressively discredited Rife's work, calling him a charlatan. Why? Well, follow the money. How much profit is there in a cure that uses radio waves versus a lifetime of profitable treatments? Rife's laboratory was broken into, his equipment was destroyed, and his research was lost. He died a broken man. Number 1. The Tesla free energy generator. You knew this was coming. The king of all what-ifs, the patron saint of brilliant minds shafted by history, Nikola Tesla. We all know him for AC power, but his real dream, his magnum opus, was the Wardenclyffe Tower. And it wasn't just a giant radio antenna, it was a world power plant. Tesla had discovered that he could tap into the radiant energy of the Earth itself, and then beam that electricity, wirelessly, through the air. He wasn't just dreaming. In 1899, he was already powering light bulbs without wires from 25 miles away in Long Island. His plan was to put up a few of these towers and provide unlimited free electricity for the entire globe. This was it, the end of energy scarcity, the dawn of a new age. And his financier, the banker J.P. Morgan, asked him a simple, world-killing question. Where do we put the meter? Tesla, being a pure scientist, said, "You don't. It's free." And that was it. JP Morgan pulled all funding immediately. You can't sell something that's free. The tower was torn down for scrap. When Tesla died, broken alone in a hotel room in 1943, federal agents didn't even wait for the coroner. They swarmed his room, opened his safe, and seized all of his research, all his notes. To this day, much of that work remains classified. They didn't just kill a project, they killed a future. So there you have it, 10 inventions that should have changed everything. Are these all just crackpot conspiracy theories? Or are we living in a world that was deliberately nerfed, all because these ideas were too powerful, too world-changing, or just not profitable enough? Makes you wonder what else is hiding in those classified files, right? If your brain feels a little more classified, after that, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next batch of hidden truths. Stay curious.